Hello, guys. Welcome to Approach the Nerd, straight from my lunch break to you. I am happy to be reviewing Black Lightning season episode 4 because this is actually the episode that shows me, and Tobias Well has done a lot of crap in this series, but this is the episode that really shows me that Tobias is the villain that we deserve because that man is calculating. So I will talk about Tobias in a second, but so this episode kind of takes I want to say it's 3 days after what happened in last week's episode where Jefferson found Tobias having dinner with his wife, which would be enough to set anybody off their rocker, especially somebody who is deep in their grief and is unstable like Jefferson. But Lynn, being Lynn, did not tell him about it, didn't talk about it, hasn't come clean that she was set up on this dinner date with Tobias to her husband. So it's starting to cause some issues. And he's actually not really, Jefferson's not hiding the fact that he's kind of ticked off. Like, there's even a scene where he goes and starts drinking, in front of PC and then Gambie. And it's just, it's a lot. One thing I will say, that I wonder if they're brave enough to do this, and if they did do it, what the consequences would be, because this is the final season of Black Lightning. Gambie. In the comics, Gambie is the one who actually killed Jefferson's father. So I wonder if they would actually, if that's something they would just push into the plot, meaning, the reason that Gambie has been so loyal this entire time was that he was actually the one that murdered Jefferson's dad the entire time, and not Tobias. Yes, Tobias is bad. He does a lot of bad things. But I do wonder. I wonder if that's something that they'd be brave enough, to put into this. Because, honestly speaking, I think that being it is the last season, and then what happened at the end of this, what they did at the end of this episode, which may not be what I think they did. They are seeming to go and take more risks, like getting Jefferson and getting Anissa and Grace married, because it's the last season, relatively quickly. Episode 3 actually was a choice to progress their storyline. I don't know if we're going to see them in another series or not, like a Painkillers series or not, or somewhere else in the CW, but making sure that they have a story and a future so far, unless something happens and they end up getting killed. It's like they're setting everybody up. So I wonder if making Gambie the villain would be cool, because I kind of feel like that would be a really good and risque thing for the writers to do. That's just me throwing it out there, because again, in the comics, it really was Gambie who killed Jefferson's dad and not Tobias Well. So making him be the person that ruined Jefferson's life, and stuck close to him, and basically had all of these father-daughter type, father-son type bonding sessions with Jefferson and his whole family. His family is kind of like his family. That would be really interesting. All right, so like I said, Lynn is not coming clean about the Tobias meeting. Jefferson is angry. He's drinking. He's raging. He's been raging this entire time. So we find out that he's been fighting in underground fight club. So Lala's underground fight club, which is a good way to work out your crap, honestly. But it's interesting too, because when you're watching the broadcast, they blur your face. So the reason that they're able to discover that he's actually in these underground fights is because, of course, TC is able to go in, and I call him TC. It might be TK. We're going to call him T. So T is able to use his power to remove the filter covering his face, the distortion. And then Jen just happens to be there with him and sees that that's her dad. At this point, I think Jen needs like the most therapy out of everybody in that family, because she has gone through and seen so much crap in the past like year and a half since getting her powers that it's actually ridiculous. TC, thank you, Kevin. I was calling him right, and I didn't want to call him TK. For some reason, I have another comic book character in my head, and his name is TK, and it's driving me nuts. All right, so just here to say hi. I haven't seen the episode. Thank you, Sean. All right, so let's talk about the fact that Tobias is a genius, because I mentioned this earlier. Every move Tobias makes, even though it looks like it's not intentional, I think is intentional. Like having the mayor reveal the DEG guns to everybody in Freeland, where all of the homeless people are being protected in Blackbird's parking. I'm calling it Blackbird's homeless community center parking lot. That was absolutely 100% planned. I think he even knew that Lala would be there to try and take them. I think Tobias knows everything because he is like the ultimate CW Arrowverse like villain to me. That man just plots like light years. He is light years better than every version of Lex we've had so far on the CW Arrowverse because he's calculating and it's cool. I mean, he is the master manipulator. Like that. It's like he sees 20 steps ahead. He knows how to push buttons. He knows who to go to. He knows how to manipulate when he doesn't get his way. Now, like before, he would just find ways to kill you. He's just like, all right, I got another avenue, and he has all this money and everybody needs this money because Freeland is so torn apart now and they need to rebuild structurally. And so it's brilliant. It's brilliant. I actually love what they're doing with Tobias. And I hate this is the last season because I could see this going a lot worse. This is like some Kingpin Daredevil crap. I love it. So yeah, Tobias is dirty. But it does seem to be that our new chief of police is kind of not happy with it, but because she was so loyal to the mayor, apparently took a risk on her when nobody else would. I don't know what it was about following the game plan. So it's exhausting to see all of the crap going on in Freeland. The Pierce family is messed up. Tobias is on. I mean, he is playing chess and he is checkmating left and right now. And not just with the Pierces. I'm talking with the whole freaking city. Everybody. He's playing everybody. So I mentioned Lala and the Fight Club. I have to say this. I don't know why Lala is so stupid. It's so weird to have a brilliant, manipulative villain and then have one that's not as intelligent because Lala just really feels like he doesn't make good choices. And I understand he can't die and I understand he has all of the spirits of the people that died and killed, blah, blah, blah. But man, why are you dumb? Like, why don't you strategize? Have a plan. Don't just say, oh, we're going to take these guns. No, have an actual plan. He comes up with semi-good ideas, but like, when he tries to carry them out, they don't work. And he sends his people out there. They can die. They are not bulletproof. So like the more people on your team that you keep sending and getting killed, the less people will follow you. Why is he an idiot? I mean, he fathoms my brain, but he wants these DEG guns because he wants to rule the streets, so nobody can take, no rival gangs can, take his business from him and no metahumans are going to take his business from him. And he can have his little underground fight club and he can peddle whatever he wants to peddle without any interference from anybody because the guns can basically blow a hole through your body. Okay. So plan this out more carefully. I don't understand. It's such a painful thing to watch. Lala is really unenjoyable for me this season. I'm sorry. He's not a bad character. He's just stupid. So I have problems with that. So let's go back to Jefferson. Like I said, Jefferson is deep in his grief after Henderson. He's in the Fight Club. When Lynn finds out that he has been fighting underground, they have one of the bitchiest exchanges that I've ever seen a married couple have. I mean, they were petty fighting. He was like, you don't tell me nothing. She's like, well, you don't tell me anything either. I put up so much of your crap over the years. He's like, oh yeah, well look at all the crap you've been through, you addict. And I'm like, okay. I don't know what couples therapy is doing for them, but I'm going to say nothing. I think individually, it's working, but together it's not. But then, as I said in my last review, I kind of have a lot of questions about the therapist, whether she works for Tobias, because what I've been seeing, Tobias has planned all of this out. He knows that the Pierce family is, what did he say? A black or chocolate covered Incredibles. And he's just sitting back. And he is just waiting for the time to use that information, but he has no problem threatening. He threatened Lynn with it. He threatens Jefferson with it. Sit your ass down before I tell everybody, that you guys are just chocolate version of the Incredibles. That man, he is a mess and I love him. I love Tobias. Love him. All right. So That fight, though, I mean, what did it actually accomplish? Because in retrospect, both of them are correct. Lynn is secretive. She's an addict. Jefferson is in this little wall or bubble world that he's created of, full of grief and anger and rage and self-deprecation that he doesn't know how to get out of it. He doesn't know how to function. He's not being a good father. He's not being, a superhero. He's not being Jefferson. And he feels like he's being his best self by being Jefferson because he helped his, his teacher out last week by giving him his dad's house, which is his childhood house, which is fine. But I mean, he's not. He has no idea what's going on with his children. And yes, you can say that, and this has grown, and, he has a teenager, but he doesn't know what's happening. There was a time when he would have never let them out on the street by themselves because it was too dangerous. And now he's just like, meh, I'm gonna stay home and brute. I'm gonna go fight in the underground club. So it's definitely, Lynn is right that he is not the man he should be. But it bothers me that Lynn, who I think is brilliant and beautiful and should have more sense than she actually has, that seems to be a trope here in the CW, is being a hypocrite. Because I can name at least 8 times where she's effed up since season 1. So I'm just, woo, but that marriage and that unresolved anger. I will tell you this, though. This is one of the more convincing fights between a married couple that I've seen on the CW. So I'll give them that. Now, I was confused why the mayor was back in Tobias's office after he told him to go take a flying leap and saying he knows his number last week. I mean, I could be crazy, but I could have swore they had this exchange. Like the mayor was like, I know who you are, Tobias, and I'll smile in public, but, I'm not getting in bed with you, basically. And now it just seems like he's in bed with him. So I don't know where we lost that. Like that was really, really interesting. But the whole thing with Chief Lopez showing her full support because of her loyalty to the mayor was interesting. And by her saying that, when she was like, oh, well, I'm loyal to him because he gave me a shot when nobody else did. I knew that the mayor was going to die from that line. I knew, because there's no reason for her to have this whole, revealing, backstory, even though it's so tiny, her relationship to the mayor and how she got the job and blah, 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 if he wasn't about to go out. So I knew that was going to be a thing. Now, I didn't realize how it was going to be set up, because right now they're making Lightning out to be enemy number 1. Like that bitchy reporter Larson retracted the story, or basically came back and said that it was all Photoshop and stuff that Lightning did to make herself not look like the villain in this situation. Nice try, Lightning. So just putting her on pretty much on the frying pan with everybody. She splayed it out for everybody. And that's when I already knew that there was going to be an issue where Jem was concerned. And then when everything went down in the park, when Lala and his gang tried to take the guns, and they started freaking. It's like, why would you start a freaking gunfight? Oh, Lord. Lala, I just gotta, I'm gonna have a Lala intervention. But so they start all this gang violence, take the guns from the police. And then, Jen comes by and she does what she normally does, tries to intervene. Apparently, though, Chief Lopez blames Lightning for the mayor being shot. And she's like, why were you guys, basically, why are you freaks here? You can tell she's got some beef with metahumans that go way beyond just law enforcement. But she blamed all of it, the mayor being killed and everything, on Lightning, who, had Lightning not been there, Chief Lopez would have had a bullet in her head. But they don't ever see that way. That's the same thing they do in comics. They do that too. So it is what it is. But when I saw that, and I knew that China, the actress for Lightning, was leaving, I was like, okay, this is how we set up getting out of here. She's enemy number 1. She's getting blamed for the mayor's death. And the final straw is when, of course, she's the one that discovers her father doing, as I said earlier, the underground fight club with TC. And she tells her mom, and that's how Lynn and him get into it. Well, she's in her room, and something happens, which we'll get to in a second. But Jefferson's outside her door, and he's apologizing to her, talking about he still needs more time, and he wants to be the man she can be proud of, blah, blah, blah. So Jen can't handle it. So she does what I knew she was going to do, go up to the damn iosphere again, and she starts draining energy from it that she really doesn't need. And she's got TC, who's been warning her since last episode, probably even before then, to not keep going up there and doing this. she gets to a point where she can't move, and then she takes in too much energy, and then she explodes. It was really cool to watch. I can tell they spent some money on that scene, on the CG for that, but she explodes. And again, the actress was supposed to leave the series. I don't think Jen is dead. It's like what you said, Mercenary Lightning began pure energy like in the comics. I mean, that's what she can do. But I don't think they're going to know that immediately. And I think for a few episodes, possibly, we may not see Jennifer, or nobody will see Jennifer, and it's going to cause an issue. I don't think Black Lightning's writing team is going to be so stupid as to kill off his daughter when he's already lost his brother / best friend, brother figure, should I say. And he's trying to pull himself out and get back into being Black Lightning. I really don't think they're going to be that stupid as to kill off his daughter, because there's no coming back after that. There's no coming back after that. He will literally effing snap. I mean, he may even blow up all of Freeland. So I don't think that's going to be the case, but I will say that's a very powerful ass way to end that episode. Now let's talk about Detective. I'm going to try and say his name, Hassan Shakur, who a lot of people like to call, the new rapper, well, he has a few names actually. But I'm going to call him Hassan. He is not a comic character that I've ever remembered, so I'm pretty sure he was created for this series. It's interesting. So everybody seems to be doing the reverse of what they came in doing at the beginning of the season. So he came in swinging at Black Lightning. He was like, when you find your balls, come and find me. I don't know if I want to be loyal to you. Just because Henderson like you doesn't mean I can, blah, blah, blah. I'm still trying to decide what side I'm on. That's cool. Well, today, he's in a bar, and Jefferson just happens to be in the same bar. And of course, people are talking about how crap Lightning is and how old school and cool Black Lightning is. And Jefferson's like, well, maybe we don't need Black Lightning, blah, 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 which is so funny that the person that is Black Lightning is talking crap about Black Lightning. And then you see, Detective Shakur or Hassan come up and he's like, well, Black Lightning saved my life. And he does his whole motivational speech while he's drinking. And I'm like, what happened between episode 1 and episode 4 that got you on Team Black Lightning? I'm just curious. So, me, I got to look for it. I'm like, I just want to know the progression here. Did you look at your boss who's working with Tobias and say, maybe Black Lightning's right. Maybe this crap, maybe Freeland right now is shit. I mean, what is it? I really want to know. That was it's like when you talk about Black Lightning, you put some respect on that man's name. I was like, okay, you didn't in episode 1. Like, okay. And it's just interesting. And then him going on to say, everything that, Black Lightning's done for the city and never asked for anything. I'm like, I feel like some people were body snatched in this episode and we just got other people. So yeah, I love the scene, but it just kind of threw me off because I'm like, I really thought we were still on the fence about Black Lightning, but now you're like pro and you're like ready to fight for his honor. So whatever. As I said at the very beginning of this Gambie is doing his own thing. He's working for Mona Vista, trying to figure out the origins of the DEG guns and how to basically, with TC's help, put like a safety guard in it so that, at best they can hack it or stop him from working. And so he's still, it's sad because I really wanted him to have his little girlfriend, Lauren. And she doesn't seem to be 100% bad, but she is super ambitious. And more than likely, because we know everybody's working for Tobias, because Tobias he's the overlord of the series. But she's like, that whole exchange between her and him when she told him to keep his damn mouth shut, I was like, oh, that may mean the relationship, even though Gambie is using her, is over. Because he really does seem to be into her, which is sad. And her trying to take up one of Tesla's old like experiments to try and do free energy. It's cool and noble, but why? So I feel like there's a lot going on with Lauren and Gambie, and they're probably, yeah, exactly, Kevin. I feel like Lauren and Gambie are playing each other. I do think that there's an attraction there. I don't think that they were making it up when they said that they actually were into each other, but they are using the hell out of each other, and it is a game. And I really want to know, for me, and again, I said this at the very beginning of this episode, or this live stream. In the comics, Gambie kills Jefferson's dad. How effed up would it be if Jefferson has hated Tobias his entire, childhood to adulthood or present adulthood, thinking he was the one that murdered his dad, and it happened to be the person and one of the people that was closest to him, like family Gambie, like in the comics. That would be messed up, but I think that would be an interesting way of ending that series. Because Gambie ends up sacrificing himself. I can't remember who killed him. It's it's actually somebody that Tobias, one of his people, ends up killing Gambie in the comics. So I have to go back and look. But it might have been cyanide. I have to go look at that though. I think it was cyanide. But cyanide ends up killing Gambie. And I don't know if we're ever going to see a flash of Paul Gambie, or Gambie's brother, who was actually a tailor. I don't know. I love how they kind of morph these two characters together. But I really want to know if they were brave enough to do that. Would they actually make Gambie the real killer of Jefferson's dad? Meaning everything he's done has been for redemption, because he's already had this redemption streak anyway for working for the ASA and recruiting all these kids into the program for Greenlight, and feels super guilty about Jefferson even having powers. And it would be so messed up if he ends up being the one that killed his dad, even if it was by accident and he didn't know how to tell him. So he just decided to devote his life to Jefferson and the Pierces. Would be a really good story, a twist for that. But I don't know if they're brave enough to do it. Just throwing that out there. But yeah, Gambie right now is playing a dangerous game. And I really, really want to know how this is going to end. I don't think that I don't want to say I don't think him and Lauren will end up together, because quite frankly, it is the last season. Anything can happen. But more than likely, if they go the route I would like them to go, then Gambie won't be alive at the end of the series. Hi, Kleptomaniac. I'm new here. What are y'all talking about? We're talking about the latest Black Lightning episode that aired last night. All right. So the whole scene between Anissa and Grace was interesting. Anissa's got a lot of damn growing up to do. She still is very me-centric. I love Thunder, but sometimes you just want to gotta smack her, because you literally had your girlfriend / fiance in a coma for a year, and you put all her stuff in storage. And then she finally wakes up and you get married in the freaking hospital, and then you go home and you want to keep everything the way you set it up, like you're still single, which is interesting. I don't know why they're writing Anissa like this, because she was actually a little bit more devoted last season. But if you remember, when she went out to have drinks with the doctor and he talked about putting his dog down and how, he let his dog suffer long enough, so he felt guilty. And then Anissa was like, yeah, I can relate to that. She was talking about Grace. I'm like, you literally compared your fiance to a dog with a terminal illness that needed to be put to sleep. And then next thing you know, they're married in the hospital. Now, I love this couple. I love them in the comics. I love the fact that Anissa gave her an outsider comic, because come on, her daddy's in it. So I am completely down there. But Anissa, man, she needs to go to some kind of relationship and sensitivity training class, but I guess if you really look at her parents, can you really not see why she's like that? But because both of them are me, but especially Lynn. She's definitely a Lynn's child. But it's really weird. And I'm like, when she had that moment and Grace was like, I just want to get into my pajamas, and she's like, oh yeah, that's in storage. And she's like, oh, well, let's kind of hang some of my things up. She's like, I got a whole feel for this room. It's basically the way, it's my feng shui, basically what she's saying. I got things set up the way I want it. And I'm like, that is not marriage, baby. Like, you wanted that. You should not have put a ring on it. I'm just saying. But she got the message really quickly, because, she wants to be able to sleep in the same bed. But that whole thing was kind of stupid to me. I just found that to be really dumb. But I do love the fact that they're still expanding on Grace's powers, because this is a whole new avenue for me, because we all know that the Grace that we know in the comics was an Amazon, or basically from the same island as the Themyscirans. So what they're doing with this whole shape-shifting thing and calling her wild, all that stuff is new. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't know where they're trying to go. They basically just made her a shapeshifter. So I would love to see exactly what's going to happen with her character, because there's lots of potential for both Thunder and Grace, who work a lot together in the comics. So, I mean, there are a couple in the comics, but they're always on missions together, especially now. So I would love to see where they go. I don't know if they're going to roll them over to Painkiller or not. They're being very hush hush on who's going on that show. So it's bothering me. And yeah, Kevin, a lack of promos for this season suck, but it's kind of across the board. They're doing this a lot. I mean, Charmed started getting promos, but before there was hardly no advertisement, and they're doing that with a lot of other series too. The only ones I've actually seen too much of are Riverdale, which is actually getting on my nerves. I'm tired of seeing Riverdale promos. So yeah, I don't know what's going on over the CW. Maybe they're all working from home probably, so they probably don't have enough editors. I don't know. It's very weird. It is very, very weird. All right. So the whole situation though with Lynn. So Jefferson and her, they have their little conversation after, we had Hassan motivational Black Lightning speech, and it made Jefferson understand that maybe he is Black Lightning. Maybe he needs to be that man and go back to his roots and, just be the kick-ass he was and be the family man that he was. So he goes and he apologizes to Lynn. But when he first comes in there, Lynn's like, I don't want to fight with you. And I'm like, oh, like, woman, you need to be apologizing first too, because you're wrong. I mean, you're wrong. But she does say, I did say some things, and you weren't in a state of mind, in my defense, for me to tell you about Tobias, but I should have told you. I will give her props for admitting that she was wrong, because she really does. And she did say she did not want to work for Tobias. There was no way she was going to work for that guy, because remember, Tobias wanted her to head up his ALS research, I guess, unit, and then he would fund any lab or whatever research she wanted to use. Part of me does think, though, that is true, because ALS is what his sister had, what he had. And I think if the therapist is the one that's working for him, I think when he said his female friend had it, I think that that's who he's talking about. He's talking about that therapist. I don't know why I feel that way, but I feel like that's who it is. And so he wants her to cure it. So that might be how he got the therapist to agree to do his bidding, is by offering to help, cure the disease. So I do believe that all of this is kind of tied into Tobias's master plan of destroying the entire Pierce family and taking over Freeland. But it was interesting is that Jefferson wants Lynn to work for Tobias, and she's like, I'm playing a dangerous game, which is true. He will effing kill me. Which I kind of feel like Tobias is going to be the last big baddie. I don't think we're going to have, it would be a shame if Gravedigger didn't come back, because we know Gravedigger is alive. But I think Tobias is going to be the last man standing in terms of the villains. I don't think he's going to die. I think it's going to be a stalemate. They may end it, and then we see him in Painkiller, because Painkiller's got a big grudge against Tobias for obvious reasons. So I don't know. Something is going to happen, but I don't think we're going to leave this series with Black Lightning retiring. I think it's going to be Black Lightning reinventing himself, and we'll just see him just carrying on, and it's we just know that that's what's happening. And it does give their other characters, and even him, a great way of guest starring on other CW shows. But it's just so much. It is so much. I'm just angry that the show, because it has so much potential. It is engaging, and it's actually one of the more realistic superhero dramas. It actually reminds me of a lot of the Defenders on Netflix. I could see Black Lightning being in that universe, versus the Arrowverse. So yeah, it's interesting. It is interesting. But yeah, this is a very good episode. Like I said, a lot of craziness. I don't think for a minute that Jen is dead, but I think they're going to use that at least for a couple of episodes to derail Jefferson's healing. But considering this is the last season, he needs to get back into being Black Lightning soon, or we're not going to have Black Lightning. Let's see. I saw that the creator of Painkiller said that Anissa and Jen would most likely make an appearance, but I'm not sure of Jen, since China was planning on leaving Black Lightning. Yeah, she's planning on, if I remember correctly in the interview she did, she is planning on doing like a documentary type, movie, and she wants to have a documentary studio production company she can make she's very religious, so she wants to make very like religious content and a lot of I guess modernist type, surreal movies. She had this whole like interview on how she likes introspective stuff. So honestly, I think the girl is burned out. I think between BLM and, the elections and all of this stuff, it has really affected a lot of people. So I think she just burned out, and that's why she's trying to do her own stuff. And she feels like Hollywood is fake, which technically she's not wrong. I'm glad China is wearing her real hair because that wig was terrifying. Yeah, I did not like that wig at all. I feel that after the Epps, Jefferson will suit up soon. I really need him to. I know that he has his struggle. And the grief process was very strong. But this is 4 episodes in. At some point, you don't have to let go of your grief, but you got to work through it. I know this for a fact. So, yeah, we need our Black Lightning back. It's no point having a show called Black Lightning and say Black Lightning is back when he's not. A Defender Black Lightning crossover. Yes, I would love that. I would. I know it's DC, but I could see him being in that universe. I really could. I could see him he doesn't even have to be in the universe. He just has to have the same shooting value because if you put some of the shows side by side, like look at Luke Cage and then look at him. Even though I was not the biggest fan of season 2 of Luke Cage, especially how they ended it kind of pissed me off. But if you look at season 2 of Luke Cage and then Black Lightning, they look very similar in scope. Like their shot, compositions, all that stuff is very similar to me. Yeah, I totally agree. I love China and hope that she does something that she sees fulfilling. I think she will. She's really young though. She's going to do a lot of stuff in her life. I hate it's the last season though. I know. I was so mad. I think that we were actually on a live stream a few months ago. I had Blurred and a few other people. I think Blurred and Kyle Aber, my friend from Dragon Ball Z, and somebody had actually announced it, and I didn't know. I was like holding it. I was so mad. I'm like, you mean to tell me you want to cancel Black Lightning, but you keep other shows on that I will not name right now because I want to get attacked today, even though technically I don't care. But I'll be nice. You leave other shows on the CW that nobody gives a flying crap about. That really made me mad. It made me mad on many, many levels. Now you want me wanting a fic where Luke Cage and Jefferson meet and fight intercity crime together. How cool would that be? Be real. That would be cool. I would love to see well, okay, so not Iron Fist, but Colleen from Iron Fist kind of team up with them. So have the female version of Iron Fist and explore that a little bit more. And then, we would have, Misty Knight meet Anissa. And, I think that would be really cool. I would write this. I would make it cool. But whatever, they don't want me doing that. So screw you, Netflix. Let's see. They need to bring back the therapist they had Jennifer go to. She can do the whole family. She really. Okay, the thing about therapy from somebody who has a therapist. Therapy works when you want it to work. You can sit here and talk to somebody all day, but if you are actually hoping and praying that something connects and clicks with you in therapy, it's a waste of time. You first have to admit that you need to see a therapist in the first place. That is a problem with a lot of this, is like they go into therapy and they're just like, I just really wanted to vent. I could have done that in a vlog. I'm like, let's see. Yeah, Anissa was wrong for not allowing Grace to get her stuff, but I'm glad that she got her stuff together at the end of the episode. Yeah, I'm also impressed at how many candles were not burning down her apartment, because those were a lot of damn candles in her apartment. I'm thinking, if they made one move, somebody's going to be set on fire. Let's see here. The season is giving me Daredevil season 3 vibes. It does. The whole all of it. This series reminds me of how they shot the Defenders. And I've always loved that. I feel like Lauren and Gambie are playing with each other. I think I read that one. Last episode, one of Tobias's associates asked if he was going to kill the mayor, and he said not yet. He was waiting for the perfect moment. Yeah, it's all calculated. This is the thing, though, that I don't like about Lala, is that he doesn't realize that Tobias has known every move he was going to make from season 1. It's why he's never been able to beat Tobias. And like Lala's like, well, I'm gonna take Tobias. No, you're not. You're not gonna take Tobias out. You're not. The only reason you're even alive is because Tobias hasn't gotten to you yet. And it's just truth. It is just truth. I feel bad for Lala, actually. What happened to the other metahumans from last season? After everything with the Sokovians and the ASA, I kind of feel like they're all keeping on the down low. It doesn't help when your new chief of police of Freeland is saying, I want to tag, capture and tag all of the metahumans, regardless of whether or not they created or had a crime on their file or a record of any type, or even a criminal. I'd be on the down low too. You wouldn't find me. You would not find me. Then I also wonder, like, when I said that Gravedigger left, so Gravedigger, he turned into somebody else. I think he shapeshifted into somebody else. I do wonder if they are going to bring Wayne Brady back for this season, because it would seem like a missed opportunity not to have some closure on Gravedigger. And then I wonder if Gravedigger would work with Tobias. See, I have all these ideas. I have these ideas that I really think would be really kick-ass in this season. I just don't think it's going to happen. I mean, honestly, I think there is going to be a showdown with Tobias. I don't think Tobias is going to die. They'll probably once again think he's dead. He's not going to be dead. He will more than likely, as I said, end up going to wherever Painkiller is going to go. And I know I think Khalil's coming back either this episode, somewhere between this episode and the next 2 episodes, because whatever he does in this season sets off the events that happen for his pilot episode for his new series. And I don't know what that is. What would bring Khalil back is thinking that Jen is dead. That would be one thing that brings Khalil back. I don't know where it goes from there, but I'm really curious to see how they transition Khalil / Painkiller from Black Lightning into his own, show. When I first heard about it, I thought it was like, okay, what, because they always do this. They always take the most obscure characters and make them heroes and give them their own show. Because when I was reading comics way before any of this crap was on TV, there's no universe you ever would have told me that Painkiller, that Vibe, that Killer Frost, or any of them were going to be on the straight and narrow and saving people willingly with the kindness of their hearts. No, no. Any alliances that they would have made within the Justice League or anything of that nature was temporary and normally for their own benefit. So it's interesting that the CW verse or Arrowverse, I think that's what we're calling it, Arrowverse again, just feels the need to take these obscure little villains and you were a villain in this book. You didn't do a lot. Maybe you did, but now you're a hero. Because we're going to put you on a TV show and center it and make you either a supporting character or maybe even have your own series, because then people will know who you are. And then we'll have to rewrite your entire origin story in the comics to support what we did on television. Because that's what they do. So it's very confusing. So yeah, I would have never in a million years thought that Khalil would have his own TV show. But what do I know, right? I don't know. It's weird. I don't know if you saw this comment already, but think that the reason why Hassan was on the fence about working with Black Lightning is because he was disappointed with him for disappearing for a year. Okay, I could see that. It's just, there's always intention. If you take acting classes, there's always intention in scenes, and they always, when you do a scene, you want to make sure that the audience, and this is not the actor's fault, this is more directing, writing standpoint, that the audience gets that there are layers to you. That you're just not some guy who's because if I were to interpret this scene, it would go something like this. Hassan was very loyal to Henderson. Henderson was his role model. Henderson told him that Black Lightning was cool. So he's kind of on the fence because this guy hasn't been doing anything for Freeland. He's been gone for a year. Why should I be loyal to this guy when he's let the city that my role model Henderson sacrificed his life for go to shit? That's what I got out of that scene. But now we have an extra layer of, Black Lightning saved my life, so put some respect on his name. So it's just when you interpret intention, I think you need to throw something else in the scene so we know that the man is actually torn up because Black Lightning is also his role model, not just Henderson told him that Black Lightning should be his role model. Does that make sense? So I really think that could have been handled a little differently. But again, they're trying to cram a lot into us in the last season. So I try to be a little bit more lenient with the writers for this series, because I'm not with other series. But intention is a thing. It just is. But I really wonder, because I don't know how many episodes we have this season. I really should look at that. Do we have 13? Are we getting 21? I need to look and see how many episodes we're getting. But I wonder what kind of support Hassan's going to be. Because if he's joining Team Black Lightning, he first has to realize who Black Lightning is, if that makes sense. So they have to have the reveal. It has to be a reason for him to figure out who they are. And also, if we're going to backtrack to some writing in this series, are we still trying to figure out if Jefferson was the one that assaulted the cops that were being racist to the young boy and basically trying to beat his ass, and Jefferson took matters into his own hands and electrocuted the hell out of them? Are they still investigating this? Because it seems like that whole little plot just went somewhere else. Like, now we're dealing with the DEGs, we're dealing with all this other stuff. So whether or not the principal of this high school actually assaulted the cops, it doesn't seem to be a priority anymore to the new chief of police and Hassan, especially when they walked out of there. I think this was an episode. It's either episode 1 or episode 2 when they even said, when Hassan said that, he's lying. And, of course, our newest police chief said, yeah, I know. And they never revisited that. It's just like, okay, he's lying. All right, cool. So moving on. I'm like, so there's no accountability, even though I'm gonna tell you, I was rooting when he did it. I was like, hell yeah, but it is still illegal. They are still cops. He's still a Black man who attacked white cops. There should have been some fallout from that. I don't know, guys. I guess it's hard for them to really reveal anything or arrest him because they don't realize he's Black Lightning yet. So maybe that's something that will come about when Hassan realizes who Black Lightning really is. So that's an interesting conversation for the future. So I always think about these plots. I think about stuff. I try very hard not to forget them, because if they don't get resolved, then I talk about it. So I'm like, but that's something I'm wondering. Are they going to resolve that whole situation with the two cops? And when Jefferson, not even wearing his Black Lightning suit, just went wild. He just went wild. And I also wonder, is this the end of his rage? Because he was beating the hell out of people. He beat the hell out of the guy who shot the young boy and killed the young boy of his the teacher. He also beat the hell out of the guy who, I think, the one that shot Jen in the second episode, or it's either the second episode or first episode, I can't remember. And he's been beating the hell out of people in the underground fight club. So I mean, he's been raging a lot. So I wonder how that's going to go down. It's just a really good series, guys. I'm going to miss the hell out of Black Lightning. I really am. I don't know how it's going to end. I have my speculations. Again, ending it with Gambie, I think people will be so mad at me, though, if they actually did it, like I jinxed it or something. But I mean, it happened in the comics. But having Gambie come clean and sacrifice himself. So say if Cyanide, is Cyanide alive? That's another good question. I don't know if Cyanide's alive. If Cyanide's dead, then that won't work. But I think it was Cyanide that kills Gambie. I would really like for him to say, I didn't know how to tell you, but I really think that, if I'm going to die, I have to tell you this before I go. I was the one that killed your dad. And this is why I've been so, hell-bent on making it up to you. This is why I adopted your family. This is why I raised you. This is why I've done all of these things for you. And I have not had a life for all these years of my own because of redemption, because I'm the one that killed your dad. That would be effing cool. Because no, it's not going to make Tobias a good guy. It just means that Tobias would be taking credit for something he actually didn't do. Like, what if he came in and you saw him rough up the dad, but he didn't kill the dad? It was actually Gambie. Maybe his dad was alive after Tobias. Maybe Jefferson just remembers it wrong because he was a kid. That would be messed up. They're probably not going to do that. They've already decided Tobias is the main baddie of this situation. So, but it would add an extra element. So that would be cool. Yeah, I think Cyanide is dead too. I can't remember though. I really cannot remember if Cyanide's alive or not. Black Lightning is definitely one of the best shows on the CW. It is. It absolutely is. I'm hurt that they did not keep this around for a few more seasons. Even if Jennifer had decided to go, they could have worked around that. I'm upset that Black Lightning is going away. I don't really know why they decided to end the show, because we have so many shows that should have ended a long time ago that are still going strong. So I don't get it. I do not get it. Yeah, that is my review, guys. And look, 45 minutes. I'm trying not to do like really, really long reviews because I know people have lives. But I like hanging out with you guys. So there's that. But I am I'm still working on my Winx Fate saga. Our Fate Winx saga. Sorry, completely dyslexic that for today. But something happened in the rendering. I was supposed to post that video yesterday. I have to figure out what it is. My video editor is not liking it, and I don't know why. So I got to fight it and figure out what. It's probably a picture or something. It's normally something minute and stupid whenever I render something. I need to figure out why it's stalling, because I literally have tried for hours to render this video and it is not rendering. So I need to figure it out. So it's coming. I just don't know when. I was hoping we would at least see a version of Static on the show. That would be cool. And maybe Black Lightning can do a cameo in his movie that Michael B. Jordan is doing. I would be down with that too, but probably not. But if you guys have any theories though about what you think is going to happen in Black Lightning, please leave me a comment, because again, this chat goes away, so you won't see this chat anymore. So make sure you post it below, because I really am curious to see what your theories or how you want this series to end. What would be your perfect Black Lightning ending? I have a feeling when we do our review next week, it's going to be a mess. That the episode is going to be a mess. I don't think they put a new promo out. I am going to be checking on it though. And as for my other reviews, guys, there is no Batwoman or Charmed next week because I think they have an award show, so they're not going to air on Sunday. So we won't have the live stream for Charmed, and I won't have my I won't have Batwoman probably video or live stream at all because there's nothing to review. But WandaVision will be on Friday, and I'm also going to be doing a review for Raya and the Last Dragon. So that will be either Friday night or Saturday morning. Or Saturday afternoon, since I have Ruby and Shihime Saturday morning. I'm working hard. I love you guys. Thank you for hanging out on lunch break. I guess I'll go eat something now, because why not? Why not? But yeah, make sure you post below. Let me know what you think. We can talk about this all day because I'm very curious. I really love the Black Lightning love, and I don't think it is definitely underrated on YouTube. I see good reviews, but people don't talk about it like they talk about The Flash and other shows. So I really want to know what you guys think, especially being that this is the last season. Tell me how you want it to end. All right, guys, love you. I will talk to you later, and have a good rest of your day. Bye.